Soup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Good Soup. I'm Sam Prime, and today I am joined by John once today. How you doing, John?
Hey Sam, doing great. Really excited for today.
hmm Yeah, so it's been a little bit. We're definitely cooking up some stuff. I think we've been talking about doing a Magic the Gathering kind of parallel thing to kind of introduce the comparisons for those joining from the Magic community. We've been seeing some of those guys trickle in, so we're gonna get one of those videos up here shortly. There's been a lot of spoilers. There's been some events. There's been the Winter Cup. Um, there's the Winter Cup in Cardiff. Then there's the one that just happened over in where was it? I always want to say San Francisco. It's not San Francisco, but just like the Bay Area. Um, and then we have one coming up just next. Is it next week? Like not this weekend, but the weekend after that. Is that correct?
The Winter Cup? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so lots of events coming up, but today we decided we're going to focus on some spoilers. Both our own spoiler hint, and as well as the ones that are up right now on at least the ones that are up on Materia Hunter. Let's just start with like the first one. Let's just start with Bart's. Bart's is an ACP Ford and Wind. Let's see. You can pay 3 crystals. I haven't read some of these honestly. You can pay 3 crystals instead of paying its cost.
I mean,
That's already busted. Let me just say that's already busted. You could just pay 3 crystals for a 9K is like fine actually. When it enters, reveal the top 2 cards. Your play up to 1 character costs 3 or less among them, and put the other into your hand. So for 3 crystals, you play 5 CP worth of cards, and then put 2 in your hand. So for 3 crystals, you generate 7 CP and get a 9K, which is I probably value that at like 3. I mean, it used to be worth like 5 or something, but it's worth a lot less now. But you're getting like 10 CP off this card for 3 crystals. That's pretty good, yeah?
so you get like double board presence, and at the same time you're filling your hand. So it's not just like the amount of CP, but the way that it impacts the game. I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like really good crystal stuff. The only problem is that at least the crystal decks I'm playing, they already have like a bunch of off color stuff, right? Because you're playing like you might be in like lightning water, but you're still playing like a couple of the fire crystal user guys, and you're playing the ice one because it's EX first. Um, so it does make me a little nervous to splash another win card. But at the very least, you have Larsa to like look for this. You can have Loporrit to like put it back in the deck. Um, and then like a lot of the cards in that deck are 3 CP or lower, right? So like all of the backups, the crystal generators are 2 CP or 3 CP. Then you have like the Emperor, Glaciella, like uh, Sarah Mobius, the Twins, the one that gives you crystals when it comes into play, as well as the one that's the 2 CP one that searches for other 3 drops. The only real card you're
And then
missing is Lucio, right? That's the only card that this is
yeah, I
gonna
was gonna say,
miss. Yeah, so
yeah. So you have Lucio and all the package from that game. I
yeah,
would have to look at
this card
the
seems
package.
really good. Yeah. All right. 7 CP Vincent with amazing art. First strike 9K. It's a 9K in Earth. When it enters the field, deal 9,000 damage to all the fours that cost 3 or less. That's already pretty good. That's already like pretty needed. I mean, I just that alone helps with chaos. It doesn't solve it. I guess the first strike part does add quite a bit to it. And then when it's chosen by for its abilities, deal that forward 9,000. Oh my god, I love that. I love this card. And when Vincent is at chosen, sorry, there's a sample order. It's chosen by summon of your opponent's chosen. You choose a forward and deal at 9K. So this thing just like it's kind of like the old Opus 3 Deleta, or is it Opus 4 Deleta?
Yeah,
Where they choose it
yeah,
and then yeah, and basically you're killing something if they choose this card.
which I think is still a card that could be seen play. I know a couple of people that really like that card. But yeah, it has that that like paladin kind of self protect.
Yeah,
I
I
really
do
like
think
it.
one of the issues is that it the first thing I want to slot these cards into, especially higher cost cards like 7 drops, is like Cloud Pod, and this card comes
Hmm.
in and kills your Cloud Pod. Um,
Yeah.
that is an issue for me. I'm not saying this card won't see play because of that, but I do think that it's quite silly that it deals 9,000 damage to your own forwards. Um, I guess that makes
You
sense. And
think
like,
so though? Like because if you compare to other board wipes on Earth for 7 CP, like I don't know, Shantoto maybe, it's kind of doing what it's supposed to be doing plus
but it's
somewhat.
not a board
Also,
wipe.
it has force.
It's not a board wipe though. It's only killing
Well, I
three
know
or
it's not
less.
a
So
board
like,
wipe.
it's like Shantato kills everything. So like that makes sense that it's killing like all your own stuff too. Um, I just I get what you're saying. I just don't think this card had to kill your own stuff, and it still would have been pretty good. I'm trying to
Also,
think.
I mean, it also has first strike, but once it's there, like you can't really attack into it.
Yeah, you can't attack into it, and you can't choose it. So it's kind of like a Baneslayer Angel style card where like they have to deal with it. Yeah, it's definitely so good. Maybe it definitely doesn't go in Cloud Pod because it's more of a finisher. Uh, but yeah, all right. So then we have this. I'm gonna open up
Free.
this Ifrit, which before paying the cost to cast Ifrit, you may remove 1 fire back of your control from the game to reduce the cost by 2. So 2 CP in theory, but you're losing a backup. Choose one forward and up to one other forward. Deal it 9,000 and 4,000 to the ladder. All right. So 4 CP deal 9K is like fine stats. You needed to probably have an EX burst to like really matter, but reducing the cost by removing a backup is like pretty good in fire. Um, except nowadays you want to get to 5 backups to catch your Mont. Uh, so outside of if you're playing like a Earth Fire summon control deck, then this could see play. You could like clear off your Shantoto, um, like by clearing off your Shantoto, then maybe it's good. I don't know.
I was thinking of playing it. I was thinking of playing it with something like the 2 CP backup Garland, and then like
Okay,
replaying some more of those. But yeah, like in a
yeah.
mono fire deck, it has a like a different function. But like if you're playing with like a fire X control summons kind of deck, it
What
makes sense
about
and it
with
allows you to
what about with the Vermilion card,
the Vermilion
the
card,
backup?
the Setuna, the one
Yeah,
that finds you a summon and plays it.
yeah. Remember how to spell it. All right, Vermilion bird
That
looking at yeah.
I
So
think 6 CP.
it searches for a 4 drop, right? But because it
Yeah,
increases the damage, now it comes in and deals 10K to something and 5K to
and
something.
five.
That's kind of I feel like that could make it a difference maker in this with this card. Because like being able to kill like the Earth 10Ks or like the walls, for example, and then like there's nothing that's really like a 4K that matters, but like being able to up it into a 5K, like I think that's a big difference. And also the fact that this searches for a 4 drop and casts it, maybe that was the design uh of the Ifrit.
Vermilion or the sign
Of
behind it.
Ifrit. Yeah, maybe it was designed to be played with Vermilion. Because the 4K is just so random. I honestly feel like it should say 5K. Uh maybe you're using it like you attack into something or they attack into you and you're going to block and your guy has first strike. So maybe like that second part's really good with first strike because you can cast this after you declare block, deal 4K to the guy that you're gonna finish with the first strike, and then 9K another forward. And like the fact that the cost reduction isn't only during your turn, like some of the other summons we've seen before. Um,
Uh-huh.
I guess that I guess it's good for two. I think it's good with Vermilion and it's good with first strikers. Um, but that's where I would put it.
It competes with things like a lot of behemoths that deal upwards to like 10k and like our EX burst, for
Yeah.
example, or remove the forwards from play. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Oh gosh dang it. It is worth noting that this is the first Opus 25 card we're talking about. The other two cards are Opus 26. Um, so we won't get the chance to
Oh, shit.
yeah, we won't get the
Yeah.
chance to use Bart's anytime soon. And chance to use Vincent anytime soon. So hopefully crystals are still around. Let's move on to the Archfiends. We'll start with the first one, Rubicante. By the way, I think they're all full arts. They all have great art. Um,
Yeah, they are.
they are all playable, but I will kind of debate which ones are more playable. All right, so Rubicante is the 4 CP EX burst. I do love that it's EX burst. When a card named Gold you control attacks, choose one for, deal it 8k. And then you can pay 2, name one element, and start Rubicante is dealt damage by abilities that named element, that damage becomes 0. So it's worth talking about this in the sense of like fire obviously only has like the one Golbez, and then now it has the I mean, it already had a couple dark ones, but it also has the LB one. So every fire deck has access. Every deck has access to Golbez now. So being able to get a Golbez to attack and fire is not super hard. You have goblins to give it haste. You have Belias. You have yeah. I also think that that second ability, name one element during the turn, is like pretty freaking good against wind. And pretty good in the mirror match. They do have a few Bahamas that like can't be reduced, but yeah, this card seems like a pretty good card to get back in the fire mirror match. Yeah,
No, I mean, when you're saying mirror match, you mean like monofire,
yeah, like mono fire,
with
like
LB gold, with LB Goldus, yeah.
yeah, with LD Golbez, and you're probably playing like some number of Titus in that deck, which means you're probably playing like some number of Furions. And so you can
Mm-hmm.
cast like the Cognazo in the Modifier deck, for example. Um, so you can just like have Golbez, search up Rubicante, discard a Furion, cast the Cognazo. Um, so I could see this like I could see this card seeing play. Um, the other warp one, the wind one, also lets you play Archfiends for free, right?
Other warp one, the wind
Yeah.
one.
Whenever you remove a warp counter, you can play an Archfiend. Um,
Golbus, that's not wind, that's lightning.
that one is lightning. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that card seems not that great with this card. This card is just too slow. Like it requires you to attack, otherwise it's not worth it. Um, the
No, I mean
other,
this car actually, like the way that this goal was, and I mean Brian would be way better at this than me, but like the other each Golbis comes out as a package with like different interactions with the Archfiends that it's printed.
Mhm,
The one that works by being suspended, it basically the longer it's outside of the game, the better it is
for
for
sure.
you, and the more value you get out of it. I feel like this set of like Archfiends reward you for having Golbus in play. So it's a
Yeah, for
completely
sure.
different. That's why like every time another Golbus is printed with like a set of Archfiends, it's not like
Yeah,
you immediately have like a full deck of a lot of Golbus and a lot of Archfiends. Like it's a different package and different
which is
mechanics.
kind of annoying, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it's cool. Like I get it, but it's like it's not like we live in different parallel universes where like, we're in the multiverse of Golbez, and this Golbez only works with Universe 11's Skarmogogon. Like speaking of Skarm, I 1 CP back attack is already crazy stats. I don't like the rest of the abilities, like whatever.
Oh,
Like
I love that card. Yeah.
having just a 1 CP back attack blocker is like pretty sick. When it enters play, choose one for units for the next damage output is reduced by 2,000. If it is a card name Golbez, it also gains this for cannot be chosen by opponent's summons or abilities. So this is Fenrir for your Golbez. That's pretty cool. Like Well, it's Finrear. It's exactly Finrear, but you also get a body. Uh, and it works on other forwards to a small amount.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
this card's pretty sick. Yeah, so for
I
one
really like this
CP,
card.
yeah, and so like if you play your Golbez, you could you could play Golbez, and then it's Golbez. I mean, we probably should have gone to Golbez first. Uh,
I was gonna say that. Yeah. The thing about Scar is that like without even having
oh,
Golbez, it's
mm, John, Golbez is
what.
not only during your turn. So you could play Golbez, and when they go to kill it, you just discard a card. Any card will search up the Scarm and protect the Golbez. So every deck playing the Golbez should run one or two Scarms. And like, even if you
Regardless.
don't, you have to play around it. That's like so obnoxious. So Golbez is a 5 CP 9K limit break 2, which is fairly
Hmm.
costed. Pay 1 and X, search for one Archfiend of cost X and play onto the field. You can only use this once per turn, but it does not say once per turn and on your turn.
Hmm.
So you can like play your Rubicante, and then during their turn they go to kill something, and you're like, they have to kill Golbez. They can't just let you reoccur value every turn, right? So you just flash in the Scarm for 2. Doesn't have to
Yeah,
be in
it
your hand. Doesn't have
basically
to be in your
reflects
hand.
everything. Hmm.
That's crazy good.
And
Speaking
that's
of,
not even the best one. I think the best one is Carnazo.
I disagree. I was thinking Carnaza was the best one, and now I think Scar might be the best one
Oh, Scar for
because of the
the
cost.
interaction
Yeah,
with him.
yeah, because
So one thing about Scar is like if you draw it, and if even if you don't have like let's say like you don't have any more Golbezes to play, or like you don't even want to play Golbez right now, but if you draw it, it's just a summon, a 1 CP summon that protects a forward. So I think it's great value for it as what it is, and then it just goes overboard when it comes to like Golbez.
yeah. All right, so this one is also really good. I think Barbarisha. So Barbarisha is another
Sure,
EX
also.
burst. Yeah, 3 CP 7K with EX burst is already like pretty good stats. When it enters, choose one job Archfiend other than card in Barbarisha in your break zone because you can't loop them. That'd be silly. Add it to your hand, and when it enters the field, if you control a card in Golbez, deal 3,000 to all the forwards your opponents control. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So in Golbez, so if you're in like when they already have some cleaves, fire has some cleaves, water has like the old Cognazo, but it also has like Hippocampus cleave. Because 3,000 is not a lot, but it does add up quickly. Um, I don't know what to
I'm
think
not
about the
sure,
second
but like
ability.
so I'd have to look for like the other like the older archfiends, but like I'm pretty sure a couple of them have like S abilities. So you can if you have one of them in play with S ability, you can like flash in Barbarisha, get something from your graveyard,
Yeah,
from
I
your
know
deck zone,
I know Scarm
and then S ability.
had one because there were some
Yeah,
like really cool decks that you used to be able to do with Scarm.
and I think that maybe Rubicante as well, but I know Scarm has a crazy S ability.
Yeah, the 6 CP Rubicante does, the 2 CP Scarm does, the old 4 CP Rubicante does, and the old Barbarisha does. Um, and the also the old Scarm does, which was really good. Yeah. I do think it's kind of so I guess this is kind of cool in title, but it is kind of annoying that like all the Barbarishas seem to like kind of work cool together
Hmm.
if they were in a title. So like using the Maelstrom from the first Barbarisha deal each opponent control deal each forward your opponent controls equal to the power minus 1,000, and then like basically this one or the Opus 13 one, they all just like kill everything at that point. So like category 4 title, um, literally Archfiends would be a really cool deck.
Croatia.x deck.
It actually, yeah, not even just really cool. It might just be good. I have to play more title to find out. But let's go on to what we both agree is an extremely strong one. That's Cognazo. Cognazo is a 2 CP 5K forward that bounces a forward. That is so good. Thank God it only bounces your opponent's forward. But if you control a card named Golbez, put it into the break zone instead. It doesn't break it, you put it in the break zone. So this kills cards that can't be broken. That's an important distinction. It just puts the card straight into the break zone. It fanfurts them. It one-sided fanfurts them. And you can just search for this in any deck playing Golbez. And I do wonder if there's going to be like some Chaos Arc decks like of the past where they're running like water cards to like filter the arcs and cycle them like to the into the deck or into your hand whenever you want them. And then you're not even running Chaos, you're just running Golbez, and you just like play Golbez, and then when you have Golbez in your hand, then you're casting your arcs. And then like you're also doing like Archfiend stuff, like Cognazo, for example. Like you wouldn't even need that much. Like let's say you had like 2 or 3 arcs, two Golbez's in the limit break, 1 little Leela in the limit break, and then 3 Cognazo and like 2 Barbarisha in the deck. And like water already likes the X-Burst, so the Barbarisha is a plus. It wants to bounce stuff, so it's like good with this Cognazo. That would be a pretty cool little control package. And it takes up like 8 slots in like 3 limit break slots, but like that's nothing. Yeah, that was pretty nuts, right?
Yeah, I could also see like a new version of Mono Water with like Archfiend, with like Cognazo and like Cognazo Arc Golbez.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's go
And
back.
like 5 CP first Yuna.
Let's go back to the top. We're at the 1 CP Gimme Cat. This is such an interesting
I
card.
love that card.
All
I
right.
love that card.
All right. Besides the cool art, right? So Gimme Cat is a 1 CP multi-play forward that says tap it and discard 1 ice card. Your opponent discards 1 card. You can only use this during your turn and only once per turn. And then tap an ice and break it. Your opponent randomly discards 1 card. So worth noting, for 2 CP, you can for 2 CP and 1 card, you can make your opponent discard 2, one of them being at random. That's like fine. It's not great. It's fine. Fine. But what I think makes this card better is it is a Unalesca on a monster. That's not tying up your backup. What makes this card worse is you do have to discard an ice card. And I will say that is significantly worse, although I do think that a lot of the Unalesca decks were obviously pretty heavy in ice. This card might have been just too good. If like your realm, you could play no ice cards, and your realm could search up Biblos Gimme Cat, and then you start making them discard cards, and you dual freeze their guys, and you're not even playing ice. That being said, your realm can still do that in like a 3-color deck, where you're like playing like Flans and Gimme Cats as your lower cost monsters. Yeah, I mean, this card's really good, yeah?
I mean, for the type of deck that you're gonna be playing it, and like the type of like control synergy that you wanna be having with like discard and dull freeze, it's probably gonna be really, really ice heavy, either mono ice or ice lightning or ice wind.
I think you need to be ice water.
Ice water.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think Realm into Gimme Cat Biblos specifically is like a way to lock down your opponent's forwards really quickly. Like if they're playing an aggro deck, like you don't want to get rid of your Gimme Cat right away. But let's say they're playing an aggro deck. If you activate both modes, you dual freeze 2 of their guys like right away. And if you're playing against an
Mhm.
aggro deck, that means they probably attack you to 3. Now your Biblos actually just also attacks them and keeps them locked down. Um, yeah, this card is pretty good. Yeah, I will also. So I will say that when I've been testing this card in my decks, um, I've started at 3 and now I'm down to 2, and I might be settling on like 1 is the right answer. I know it's multi-playable, but like you don't
Mhm.
I don't think there's too many times where you're gonna draw 2 and then want to discard them both to make your opponent discard a card. Um, but I was doing like some like against Travis, I was doing some cool like go-go stuff. So like I would discard 1 and he would discard 2. Um, and so it is good with like go-go. Um, yeah, are there any other
I
applications? I
mean,
mean,
so if you create a board state in which you're both like top decking and you're you're drawing and discarding, you can have two of these at the same time in play, and if you have, I don't know, like Biblos or what's the other card, the uh, Sviets, that does the same effect.
yeah.
You could be like top decking, and then you just like control the board by discarding your hand. They discard their hand every turn,
It only works if
and
you
then you
can
just go
keep.
freeze.
Yeah, it only works if you can keep their stuff backups like Frozen's, which is pretty hard because the ones that keep their backup Frozen's besides the 4 CP Kirasame, like this works one time with 4 CP Kirasame. But like 7 CP
Mhm.
Kirasame requires you to draw Kirasame and have a card, so you can't really afford to pitch 2 for that ability. And then like the
No.
Kate Sith backup requires you to pitch a card plus pay a 4, so you can't pitch 2 cards. Like if you're, I'm talking about 4 in both in top deck mode. Now, where I'll say you can break that stalemate is if you're playing the Warwai backup. If you're playing the Warwai backup, I think this card becomes a lot better. Warwai also happens to be from Cat 11. So, or sorry, no, this was Cat 9. Yeah, I think Warwai's from Cat 11.
Got
Never
nine.
mind. Yeah, so this one's from Cat 9. But Warwai says that if your opponent discards a card during your turn, you draw a card at the end of your turn. So every time you discard a card to Gimme Cat, you get that card back at the end of your turn. It does make it
Mhm.
way, way, way better. I've been using it with Unilessa quite a bit in some fun decks. It is an expensive backup. It's 4 costs. You don't get anything when it comes into play. You're often not activating your Unilesca that turn, depending. You probably tap your Unilesca to play the Warwai. Um, yeah, this seems pretty good. And then like, yeah, it is multi-playable, but like if you end up in a situation where you're not top decking or your opponent casts like a I don't know, something that draws them a few cards, then you can use a second mode to like make them discard a card at random, which is like I don't know. If you're playing against me, the card that you made me discard at random is always the best card in my hand. It's like always. It's like 100% of the time the best card in my hand. Um,
100% time.
and then like if I use this against my opponents, they're discarding their 6th backup every time. Um, but yeah, I do think this card's good. And um, what we know that you guys don't know is that this is part of a cycle. So
Yes.
this is Armstrong. This is not on Materia Hunter yet. This is the first time you're seeing this. Um, this is our spoiler. Thank you, Square Enix. Thank you, Sarah. This is a 2 CP monster, multi-playable, part of the same cycle. Tap it, discard a fire card, choose one forward your opponent controls, deal it 5k, or pay a fire and put this in the break zone. Choose one, or deal it 7k. So we were talking about some applications of this. We talked about Menace and War Mech being able to increase both parts of that damage by 2k, which is interesting. Um, one thing that we didn't talk about, and I don't know if it's too slow or if it's not, like if it would work or not, right? Is that there might be situations where if you if you're in the middle game, if you're like let's say I just try to think of a world where like Rajan Fujin used to be good in like decks. Like, there were a bunch of good Rajan Fujin decks that weren't necessarily Turbo Chaos, and I don't think that Turbo Chaos will reign supreme forever. Whether that comes from bannings or it comes from people just finding better ways to deal with chaos itself since it's a dark card. Um, this card has the potential to again, I'm not saying that War Mech is the answer because it's kind of a silly card. Um, but being able to kill 2 forwards is quite interesting. And then if let's see, one of those pumps it. So if you were to Kuchulain 1, for example, then this kills both Rajin and Fujin.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I think that being able to kill 2 different forwards is where this card is going to shine. If this card shines, I do think it would have to be an exactly water fire for this card to really make a difference because you're going to want Kuchulain. You're going to want to hire EX first into count anyways. It's a monster, so obviously that has some synergy with Realm. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
It's not my type of play style. I do think it's a very specific type of interaction for like a very specific type of deck. There's also like really like splash damage kind of summons like that do like 5k to everyone or like I don't know 7k. I don't
There's
know
a
what's
lot
the
of
cap right now.
fire.
I think it's
Fire has a lot of
5k.
that stuff too, right? Like fire has
Yeah,
the
it does.
Golbez, for example. It has the Squall and the Squall attacks. Um,
Salamander.
Salamander, yeah. So I could also see this the 2 CP being like an investment against so sometimes you're playing mono fire, right? I don't know if anyone here has played a lot of fire control decks, but oftentimes when I'm playing fire control or they're playing fire control, um, it's really that they have an answer, so they're they're not putting out a threat because you want to hit a certain threshold of threats because otherwise the fire deck just if it doesn't have exactly Tibus, it's not really putting pressure on you. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't play anything, they have nothing to kill. They have nothing to do anything. Like their Suzanos in their hand or whatever. Their act stars are actively bad if there's no board state, right? So Armstrong's something that they could play and just hey, I'm gonna put this down, and later I could tap it and pay fire to deal something 12k. That's
Mm-hmm.
reasonable. I don't think that this card's a game changer, but I do think it's very reasonable. And also, I just look
Yeah, I
at.
think it's
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I think it's slow for the type of gameplay that I am used to, but I think Tori is probably gonna find some use for it. I think it has synergy with like a couple of goblins and mirrors and things like that. It also like the same concept of like splash damage, kind of like board wipes. It's also seen in lightning, so maybe an interaction
Hmm.
with like lightning summons.
Yeah, Lightning has
With
some cool
like
monster interaction
Blood Archer
too.
or something. Yeah.
I do actually I was thinking about the art from Gimme Cat, and I like it. I really like the art from Armstrong. And there's a little cat on there too, on the little shield part. So
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Anyway, all right, let's move on past that cycle. I do want to see what the other cycle is going to bring. Let's talk about let's move into the FF10 cards because they're pretty. There's a lot to talk about. We'll start with Gipple, maybe one that's less talked about, but I do think it's worth talking about. Gipple, faction leader, high CP 9K. The category X forwards other than Gipple, you control gain 2,000 power and cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities. When Gipple enters the field, choose one forward your opponent controls, dole it, and freeze it. That seems expensive for a 9K period, right? It doesn't. This card could have had back attack, right? And if it had back attack, it worst case scenario, it moves to the heroic rarity, and it protects exactly Final Fantasy category X cards, and then it dual freezes something. I mean, we have back attacks that cost 3 that kill stuff, that cost 4 that kill stuff. to dole freeze something, I think that like 5 CP 9K with back attack is like. I mean, is it the fact that it's a
I mean, it's
9K?
also
Would that be too strong?
2K power. If it's a what?
The fact that it's a 9K, is that would that be too strong for it to be a back attack? Like, do you want 9K back attacks?
For five, yeah, I would at least like amp the CP if I'm gonna give it back attack. But I think
The
the
old water
value,
Titus was a 9K back attack, basically, right? It came in at puncture force plus 2000. It's a 7K back attack Titus. Like, that was basically that saw zero
Mhm.
play ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. This gives like a blanket protection for all the things that you haven't played. Gives them 2K extra, which is something you. I mean,
2K is
you
a lot.
don't. 2K is a lot. 2K is a lot.
And it's not hard to
The dull
splash.
freeze.
Yeah.
I mean, in 10 you have the Riku backup that just allows you to play
Correct.
it, so it doesn't really matter like those
I
colors.
don't
But
understand why the attack isn't also sorry when it enters the field isn't also when it attacks.
yeah.
I
Yeah, I would
mean,
have given that either that or back attack.
now I guess that like look, not all cards have to be bangers. I don't agree. I don't think that all cards have to be
Mhm.
bangers. However, however, I do feel that Gipple has been shorted quite a bit. I feel like the last time
Yeah, I
Gipple
agree.
saw like a lot of play was like Opus 1 or 2. Um,
Yeah.
it's been a while since Gipple has seen any play at all.
I don't think the card is bad. I
No,
don't
it's not
think the
bad.
card is bad. Also, if you play in titles, that's another thing. But I don't think the card is bad at all. I just don't know like how the deck looks right now. Maybe with like the next like category 10 cards that we're gonna talk about now, maybe it works a little bit. But like I feel like 2K and protection for everyone is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think the card is gonna be seeing play.
All right, let's talk about Lin. I know that we're not going to get a Florida Lin. I
Okay.
don't know that. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get a Florida Lin. I think this is the card I want I want a Florida of the most right now. And like I love the blues and the purples. Like this is a beautiful card. Lin is a 2 CP songstress slash summoner. 5K. At the beginning of your attack phase, remove the top card of your deck from the game. You may cast it this turn. That is a good
Mhm.
ability. Period. Pay 1, remove Lend from the game. Choose when summoning breaks on removed from the game, you can cast it anytime. That ability sucks. But it's no. Yeah, that card's terrible. That ability is terrible. The first card is good. The first part's
Yeah,
good, yeah?
yeah, I agree.
Like if you like again, I look at things kind of in a vacuum. I know we don't play in a vacuum, so it's just at first glance in a vacuum. At first glance in a vacuum, if you have a deck with a bunch of like summons and monsters, right, and like your forwards are exactly Len and Siren, right? Like
Mhm.
Len is and at the beginning of your turn, like at the pack phase, you're always just going to draw an extra card. So just draw an extra card. And the reason I say Siren is because yes, a 2 CP 5K is like pretty easy to kill, but let's say it wasn't. Let's say you had a way to protect it. Um,
Like
that's
Gipple.
yeah, it's like Gipple and Ice. Um, it's also
Mhm.
a summoner. Like I know that we're not shocked that Len is a summoner. She's been a summoner many times before, but we haven't had a forward Len, right? Is this our first forward
We
Len?
haven't. I don't think
No.
so.
We did. No, we did. We had the one that was like, yeah, okay, yeah, we did. We had the one that was with the other songstress. It was quite terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the party attack one, right?
Yeah. Whereas like both the Len backups are playable. Um, whereas the Len forward I don't think is playable. This card's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. It's like a little value machine that's not over design.
Yeah, like
It's
ice.
cool.
It's a in Ice Earth, it's another summoner to get because like before you had Rydia Unalesca, now you actually have like a Ice forward you can get like if you already have the both the backups because you usually in that deck you played 2 to 3 Unalescas anyway and 3 Rydias. So now you have a
Mhm.
forward you can get that actually has value if you just play as like a one of. So you can go get this plus a Mist Dragon, for example. Like it's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. Um, let's see.
Perfect.
We have is Yuna the last one? No, Titus. Let's start. Let's save Titus. Yuna's the newest one. That's from KP Talks. That was his spoiler. It's very interesting. 3 CP 7K. When it's field, you may search for one job going and add it to your hand. That is good. Anytime you have a backup searcher on a forward, I'm a fan. It's also a black mage. It's a gold wing itself, which is important for the fact that it has a special. It also has
Mhm.
pay two, play one job gold wing across 3 from your hand onto the field. You can use this once per turn. And the special shooting for dual freeze it, and your opponent discards a card. So when it comes in, you could pay 2 in theory to play like the brother. Then if you played brother, then you go search up another Yuna, and then when this comes in, you also search for another Yuna. You could have 2 specials to fire off. You could choose 2 forge, don't freeze 2 things, and make your opponent discard 2 cards while developing a backup in like Icewind, for example. It works with black mages. Also happens to be 3 CP, so that's a good number for those black mage decks. There's so much you can do with this deck. You could like in Icewind, you could play this and like you're playing an Icewind deck. In Icewind, your opponent typically outside of exactly a Tomos wants to like bury you as quickly as possible. So hitting you to 5 is like no shock. They hit you to 5, you're an Icewind. You activate the two cost ability. You chocobo this to your hand. You draw a card and you play the blue green one. Which then would like bury one of their guys and at damage 5 search for another card. You go get Gipple, I guess. This is during combat, so your unit on the field is now ginormous because Gipple's on the field. You don't freeze another guy because this is the middle of combat and Gipple just entered. I like how we went from making fun of Gipple to being like, oh, here's all the interactions.
Play with Gipple.
Yeah. This card has so many different ways to play it. It's actually insane.
This card
Like,
is so good. I
like,
don't understand why it's a rare. Like,
yeah, I can see this card
I
being
think
heroic at least.
this is a better card than Lin
For sure. Yeah. If
by
you
far.
started if you started like a chart and you were like, here's Yuna, here's what you could do with it. And you'd like go down the Gold Wings path and you'd go down the Black Mage path, and then you'd go into like the hey, we're actually just playing mono win, but we're gonna use the Riku to cast this card. There's
That's gonna be
so
another
many
video.
different things. Yeah, that's all. You can make a whole video on just this Yuna. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not sold that this
so
card's.
versatile.
I'm not sold this card's broken. Because it depends what the format looks like. That's the thing. The format could be entirely. It could be too. It could actually be too slow for this, where cards are going over the top of this Yuna, and it could be way too fast for this Yuna. Which is one
Okay,
of the.
let's theory craft a little. So we've seen YRP being like controlling metas when they're not supposed to, like sets after they were printed, like a lot of sets after they were printed. And this card is only gonna get better
Hold
like
on, hold
with
on,
time.
hold on,
So
hold
this is the
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
yeah.
You're using you're skipping a logical step in this fallacy here. Okay, you're saying
Yeah.
YRP has been broken before, long after it sets, right? But when you're talking
Yeah.
about YRP, we're mostly talking about the fact that a band of backup in Riku, which was crazy good,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
and a and a forward that to this day, or sorry, not forward, another backup to this day still sees a lot of play in mono water that reduces cost, right? And
Yeah.
then on top of that, it because it had those two cards, which weren't really interactable because they were backups, it played cards like Pain, which would free draw and free untap your backups, and Valfor, which is 3K plus untap all your backups. So I get what you're saying, but let's not say like YRP is good, therefore this is good. Those
No, I
are
know.
very different cards.
I know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I got a little bit ahead of myself. So this card says Goldwyn. It says
Yep.
Yuna.
Yeah.
It's
Got the right
has
words
so
for
much
sure.
value printed on
Definitely
it.
has the right
It
words.
has
Yeah.
so much value printed on it, and like the way that the developing team like designs around the words Yuna, Goldwyn,
Yeah.
FF10,
Yeah.
like this card has everything inside of it to be great for a long time is all that I'm saying. And
I do
it's
agree with
usually
you. Yeah.
something that it's something that usually gets some sort of support every now and then, and it has so many things and so many interactions that we can talk about right now. That's just gonna the map is gonna keep getting bigger and bigger as sets come out. But I think the card is great and it shouldn't be a rare.
Um. Yeah, I could agree with that. I was thinking. Let's. I'm looking at goal wins real quick. Let's see. Buddy's gonna
We're
name is
brewing right now.
taken. Brother's name is taken. There's no other goal wins. So I don't follow the game. How many other goal wins are outside of Buddy and Brother? Um, Basically, what we need from this set and this set specifically to make this card good is a good card named Pain. I think that's what we need. We need a 3 CP Pain that is very good. Um, that being said, I do think the old 3 CP Pain that's EX Burst when it enters the field, search for a card named Yuna or Riku and add it to your hand. It's a
It's
decent
good.
goal wing to get off of this.
Yeah.
Because like it searches for a backup, it searches for a forward, it searches for a special. So you can like play the Pain and then later search for the Yuna if you want for the special and block with it. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't disagree. The card's very good. Yeah. Let's go to Titus. I think Titus is better. Um,
Jane.
so Titus is when it enters the field, you may return one backup you control to its owner's hand. If you do so during the turn, the cost required to pay your next category 10 character is reduced by 3. When Titus or a category X character enters the field, choose one forward to control, it loses 4,000 power. I think just looping brothers with this is crazy. So
Mhm.
like if you're just in water wind, looping your brother is like this is and it's also the best mono art ever created. Um, it's really really good. I'm very sure that we won't be getting a full art of this. Unfortunately, we almost exclusively get mono arts and legacy collections. I do not think that we're gonna full art here. But I think this card is fantastic. I think it's really good. Again, I think there's a world where this card's too slow. Um, I don't think Knights
I
particularly
mean, what?
cares too much about it. Um,
No, I mean, if you're talking about chaos and knights and things like that, you're gonna be
but
playing
that's
against
that's the world
water
we live
winds.
in. Yeah, that's the world we live
Yeah, I
in.
know, I
So
know,
yeah,
I know. But I mean, before chaos, there was a world where there were a lot of knights and non-chaoses, and Storm won a lot of events, even with
yes,
knights in there.
yeah.
So water, wind, storm, I see it happening, and I see. I mean, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. All
This
right,
card is really good.
all right. We'll go over a few cards I think are misses real quick. Um,
Yeah.
Rude. Uh, when it enters, choose one job other than Turks, card name Rude, any breakstone. Do one job member Turks other than card name Rude, any breakstone, add to your hand. Begin your attack phase, choose one forward and dole it. That card is like fine. Why is this card not a 7K? Why is this? This card could be an 8K and it would still have been fine. I'm not really sure why Rude always gets like the poor treatment. Rude is like a
Yeah.
total badass and deserves a lot more than they give him. Um, I don't want to say what I think it is, but let's just say that Rude's not getting a fair treatment. Reno gets the legend status.
Wait. You don't want to say something here?
No, I'm not even gonna get into it. But here we go.
Okay.
Reno gets a. I think we can infer. Here's
Yeah.
Reno. Here's Reno. Very different card. And the fact that Reno, again, I'm not gonna say this card's good. It costs less. It's a
Hmm.
legend. It has a special. Like, what is their fascination with Reno being better than Rude? I don't understand. When active forward, your opponent controls becomes dual to your ability. Due to your summoner ability, choose two of the two actions. Basically, this gains haste, or Rude gains haste, or Elena gains haste, which Elena usually already has haste. Um, and then choose one forward, deal it 4K. Like, this is like without the special, that's like whatever, right? Like the special at least like deals 9K to something.
So I'm gonna say that I don't see these two being better than like the ice ones that were printed not too long ago, and I don't think they're even better than the other light ones that were printed before that. Both of which I use in my Turks deck. That being said, I think this is not the end of like what we've seen for Turks in this set. It's probably like a little bit more of support for the. I hope at least. I
Yeah,
don't think like these two. I know for a fact that these two alone are not enough to like bring Turks back. So them giving Reno legend status here and then both having full arts, I would hope that there's a little bit more of support for Turks coming. But these two alone don't do it for me.
yeah. All right. Zach says if you control three or more category 7 forward, Zach gains haste. And when it attacks, choose one category, 7 character of 2 less and breaks on play on the field. So it revives Cloud Pod. That's cool. I get it. That's cool. That's what Zach does. Why does he have to have 3 category 7 forwards to have haste? 3 category 7 characters? Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Like, Zach does not even need anyone to fight alongside of him. He literally fought an entire Shinra army while he's carrying Cloud. Like, why does he need 3 category 7 forwards next to him for him to gain haste? I don't understand it. You could put, like, if you were like,
Yeah.
if you want to be thematic, you could put Tifa next to him. The guy's gonna gain haste. Like Tifa. Although he did meet, I was thinking of Nebelheim, which he did meet Tifa there. But you could put, I just don't understand it. Like for 4 CP, like you could have had it say two or one other one and given him haste. And like if this card said if you control another category 7 forward other than Zach, it gains haste, it would be
Mhm.
pretty good, right? But it wouldn't be broken.
Yeah.
It would just be good. And yet here we are in a legend where it's like overcosted, right? And then like I don't know, are they asking you to like I'll move on to this Limit Break 2 Red 13. Is it like I'm supposed to play Zach but like also play Red 13, which by the way, they have no relationship. I don't they don't ever meet, so there's no synergy between these two. So I don't know why like you'd be required to play these Limit Break cards to get Zach to be that good. I just don't understand the whole Zach thing. But let's go on to Red 13. It's a warrior, which
Yeah,
is go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that like they're being really restrictive with like how much power they give lightning and particularly like lightning lens, and I don't know why. That's
We
just
used to know
my
that
comment on it.
fire was like really good supposedly in chapters, so they were like really like reserved about it. That's definitely like that was the
Hmm.
excuse for fire like opus 4, 5, and 6, you know what I'm saying? But like why are they being so restrictive on lightning when it hasn't done anything in multiple sets anything outside
With
of like
lightning
cheating
alone.
like Rajan Fujin. um anyway, Red 13 Limit Break 2. If you control 3 or more category 7 forwards, here we go again. It gains haste for strike and brave. When Red 13 enters the field, all the forwards you control gain plus 2,000 until end of turn. This card's cool. I mean, this card's cool. I don't I don't get it. Like, I don't get this whole like you need three or more category seven forwards thing.
Yeah.
Remind
There's
me,
not even.
remind me. Final Fantasy VII, was it not a three-party system game?
Yeah.
It was, right? It was three-party. You had three party members.
Yeah.
So why are all the cards
I mean,
require
the
four
the
party
way.
members?
Yeah. Is there? I really don't play seven that much in the game, like
Hmm.
in TCG. But like, is there a build for like a Swarm seven deck apart from playing Pod?
No, they had they had Avalanche. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of swarmy. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, sure, Avalanche, but that's an Earth Fire, so you can't really explain the
Yeah.
Zac out of that. And it was actually almost mono Earth. It was playing really fire for Cloud and Barrett. I think sometimes you played the Tifa too. I guess you
It
definitely played the Tifa, but
it plays really mid range. What I do know is that like past Ice Lightning lists have you can make the whole list just seven with like
yeah,
all the
for sure.
turks, all the so it's probably I'm waiting for something in Ice to come out and say like, oh, this is what this is all about, but I don't see it right now. I feel it's really slow. They're designing mid range cards to play like it's a really swarmy aggro deck. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing it.
Uh, two drop Aerith, also in Wind. When it enters the field, choose one character opponent controls. As long as Aerith's on the field, it loses all its abilities. Aerith's been put into the break zone. You may remove Aerith from the game. When you do so, draw a card. I remember thinking this card several times. I remember opening this card 10 seconds ago and being like, I'm ready to move on. But I actually think this card there might be something to this card. So it replaces itself when it draws a card, yeah? And then it just
Hmm.
blanks a card on the field. That's like, that, that that's decent, yeah?
We don't have any more blanking cards, right?
Well, we have like cards that blank temporarily. Porum, Cuchulain.
No, no, no. I mean like a field. So this card really reminds me of cards like the
And Magic,
Halo
yeah. Rune Halo. You're talking about?
in Magic. So yeah, so there's another card here. I think it's a Larcaicus that as long as it's in play, like something stays removed or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
So I see this kind of like working like that. The thing is like Earth herself. Put from the field of break zone, you may remove her from the game when you do so draw a card.
So
Yeah,
she
Earth
replaces
herself like
herself.
doesn't protect. I
No, she doesn't protect herself.
Yeah.
But she's interesting. So she's interested in a few things. She's interesting in Cloud Pod, because when you do break her, you also draw a card. She goes get you some of your three drops like Billy Bob, so you can always like break her, go get Billy Bob her back, then play her again to like blank something different. Um, she can blank characters, so she can turn off your opponent's Everay. She can turn off your opponent's Atomos. You can turn off your opponent's backups. Like if they're reliant on like if they're reliant on their Tyro to cast their other color, like then like this card just blanks that. You know, if they're reliant on their Shantoto to like if they're playing like there's been decks where it's like mono ice, right? Mono ice and it's playing Flans plus Shantoto. Or mono fire plus Shantotos, right? Because they're relying on all these cards. Like it just makes it feel like, oh, you actually can't cast Mont because you don't have five fire backups. Now, fire probably doesn't have a way to kill Aerith, but in ice, it would be interesting to be like, your Shintoto is no longer ice. Your Torgal no longer allows you to cast Clive. So while this is in play, your best way to kill this would be Clive, but you can't cast your Clive because your Torgal has no text. This card's, I'm not gonna say it's good. It's better than I thought it was.
4K. Like you can get rid of it with any LB. So it's
You
basically like it
yeah,
doesn't
you
protect
can
your
get you listen. You can get rid of it with the second half of the new Ifrit.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
the first card that matters for. All right.
Yeah, I don't like it.
let's move on to Dine, because if you guys have played 7, Dine's a badass, okay? But if you've played 7 Rebirth, Dine, it has one of the coolest story arcs. Dine's story will make you cry. And I don't think that they do Dine justice here. I know it's a common. I can't believe they gave Dine this amazing art, made him a 9K, made him a full art, and then made him a common, and then made him shit. It's frustrating. Dine is a 5 CP 9K. When it enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. If you control 5 or more backups, Dine and the chosen forward deal damage to respective power to the other. All the fights lately, they used to fight each other. The good fights nowadays are one-sided fights. I have no idea why Dine is not a one-sided fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
It's a bad card.
So spoiler alert, him dealing damage to himself makes sense. But I don't really understand why. I guess we just move on. I can't even play this in Cloud Pod, really. I can play this next card in Cloud Pod. This next card will drastically alter my Cloud Pod deck quite a bit. 6 CP Barrett. By the way, I've never played Marlene in Cloud Pod. Well, no, I think I've played one Marlene before, but now I would definitely play 1 or 2. 6 CP Barrett, Brave, 9K. Not great stats so far, yeah. When it enters the field, you may search for 1 card named Marlene. I'm sorry, that's all I read. I never even read the second part. Or Job Avalanche of 4 less and play it onto the field. Excuse me? What? So you can also go get Billy Bob and just play Billy Bob? You can just search up Tifa and then search up Cloud? What? And it just plays them? And at the beginning of your attack phase, choose 140 controls. Those 7 or more category 7 characters deal at 9K. Yeah, that's not going to happen that often. But it doesn't need to, right? Holy crap, that first ability is awesome. Yeah. What do you think about this?
It's a really good card. I just don't understand when they're designing legends, how they make one legend like this and then make something I don't know, Len or
Rude. What if Rude said, sorry, not Rude, I'm sorry, I'm crazy. Rude, yeah. I mean Reno, they would never give Rude this treatment. If Reno said 6 CP, paste, 9K, when Rude enters the field, you may search for 1 Job Shinra, what are they called? Turk. Job Turk. And put it into play. At the beginning of your attack phase, if you control 3 whatever Turks, do something. That card would be way better. And it still wouldn't be broken.
Yeah.
If that card also said search for Shinra, President Shinra. Because that's basically what this card does. Search for an EX first card that's already good in the deck. Marlene's already good. This card you can play on turn 1. And you get your value from it. It's a 2 CP 9K. That's what you get. You're getting a 2 CP Brave 9K that searches for a backup. That's the thing. It's if you just played this and you're look, I don't think that paying 8 CP 6 plus the card is worth just going and getting a backup into play. But I think you'd be forgetting that sometimes you're going to have 5 backups and this card's going to go get you Tifa or it's going to go get you Billy Bob. Sometimes you're going to have a no backup hand or a Tyro hand, and you're oh, I can just bear into Marlene and then Tyro next turn, and I'm set, plus I'm applying pressure and I have a great defensive mechanic. I think this card seems really good.
Play this turn 1 and then turn 2 Renoa it and then have a full board. This is a really good card.
Yeah, I mean, you could play this card and then search up the 3 CP Jesse and go search for any forward you want. Right? This card is crazy good. This card might be
Yes.
like my favorite card in the set so far. I don't know if it's the best card in the set so
Yeah,
far, but it's one of my favorites.
I think like my prognosis for it is that probably this like for now, I mean, probably this Yuna, Titus, and Golbez are gonna be creating like new archetypes in the meta. So I
Yeah.
for what I've seen right now, I feel that the meta is gonna change enough and with this
So,
set.
all right. Speaking of some meta and gold buds, I love what they're doing with this type of card. Camelot. 6 CP Ice 8K. When it enters the field, choose a forward. If you control a dark forward, break it. That's it. That's it. So I actually love this card. I think like this is a very specific card that you play exactly one of, and you're like, hey, in my gold buzz control
Mhm.
deck, sometimes even if you're in mono earth gold buzz control, where you're just using Tyrone Shanteto, you probably still play this card, and you're like, sometimes I'm just gonna want to kill something off my limit break, and I have no cards in my hand, so I'm just gonna like draw. I drew two backups. This is crap. I already have a Cognazo on the field, and in that case, like you're just like, I'm just gonna play Camelot and kill your guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that card seems good. Moving
Yeah, it's
on,
pretty solid.
another card that seems fine. I'm really frustrated by the way. If you don't know, Pasoya is my favorite character probably in Final Fantasy IV, which just happens to be like probably my favorite Final Fantasy of all time, maybe slightly behind seven. Um, when it enters choose one forward, deal it 9K, remove the top two cards of your deck from the game. Now that by itself is really good. A 2 CP backup that deals something 9K is actually crazy. Removing two cards from the top of your deck sometimes isn't even the worst thing. There are cards that say if you have cards removed from the deck game, do this. They have bonuses for that.
Yeah.
Also, if you're playing, usually if you're playing light cards, getting stuck in their hand is terrible. This one actually has a special. Yeah, this card's fine, yeah?
Good.
Yeah. Maya, we'll go over this one quickly. I know most of the GC guys weren't very high on this card. I think this card's pretty good. When it enters, you may remove one category Mobius card from your break zone. It's a 3 CP, 7K. Which that part's important. When you do so, your opponent selects one forward, put it in their break zone. So, and sorry, you can also remove card called Mobius from your break zone to reduce the summon by one. All right. I think this card's good personally. I think that like even if you what's that big ice guy? The six Griever. Even if you like Griever into this, right? So if your Griever dies, you go get a witch.
Mhm.
You play this, you remove the Griever, your opponent Fanford something. That's like good. And like the Mobius cards are good. Let's see. Let's just do a quick take on what.
But is Reaver's not Mobius, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is really.
Mm-hmm. Let's like, I'm gonna go over the
Or
cards that I
something.
think are good in Mobius. Maya, this one. Buenavelv is Mobius. Griever. I think Sarah Mobius is playable, not great, but playable. The Fiend is good. The Goddess is good. The Demon is good. Sarah Mobius is interesting, if not good at least. The Sarah Mobius that pumps your Mobius characters would be good in something like this. Probably not in this deck, but Ruby Weapon's ridiculously good in Modifier Mirror. Genova Synthesis is good, but again, not in this deck. The Goblins are good. So like if you stream up a bunch of goblins, that you always gonna have fodder for this. Titan's good, Shadow Lord's good, Ixion's good, Quadav is good. Like, there's no color that doesn't have good cards with this. Sobi, Sarah Mobius are playable. Echo's good. Maybe as we get down the list, we're getting to less and less good cards. But yeah, I mean, you don't need that high number of like these to be like good, right? Like I was saying that like maybe you need like seven or eight, and you play like one of these. Like you don't like this isn't a card you're gonna probably play at three of. It's like you're playing it as like, hey, I want to buy it. It's also gonna remove stuff. Um, when like my opponent has a fiend on the field, right? And I'm playing this like high summon deck. My opponent has a fiend on the field, and like I need to get rid of the fiend without targeting it. It's going to cancel it. I can't cast summons because they get canceled. Then you just cast a mana, and like they sack their fiend. Seems good. Not great. I don't know why the card's seen so much hate though.
Yeah, it's another value engine that's dependent on like the synergy with its own uh game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I I looked over Griever. I didn't know it was a Mobius card. I think it actually fits really well into like water ice witches, but apart from that, like I don't see it's as good as Mobius is. So I don't know how good Mobius is because I've never played
Yeah.
with it.
We also need to
But
see what we get from Mobius in this set too.
yeah, so it depends on that. It kind of like the Yuna effect, but like in a worse name.
All right, 2CP Kuja. We're almost done here, guys. 2CP Kuja, put Kuja in the break, put Kuja and one forward into the break zone. Choose one forward and break it. All right. Now, at first glance, I think that most people won't be impressed with Kuja. It's you have to sack it and one forward. Lightning has like some good 2CP backups that do this type of thing. As like Sonitus or whatever those guys are from the like Opus 15 era, where you take a point and kill something. This card's exactly fine as a one of. I think it's like just fine, right? Like you might fire lightning. You might or even Melithos in their guy. You might steal their guy with this. Or you might steal their guy with Garland, and you might just like sack it and kill two of their guys. It's like fine, right?
Mhm.
It's not an all star. Like exactly, Ian will play this card, and then that'll be it. Let's see. We have, I think,
Yeah,
just two.
I do prefer the other Kuya though, like the other two CP backup Kuya.
It depends on, yeah. It depends on the metagame. I think I agree with you. I think that giving it EX burst is like, and right now we're in a chaos
Hmm.
Charlotte Laswell metagame. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I like so the last two cards. I like this fan for it, the Darkening Cloud. 4 CP water card. Before paying the cost, you could remove a water back into control for the game to reduce the cost by 2. So with Yuna, you pay 1 CP. That's really good. Choose one auto ability produced by a forward, put that forward into the break zone, draw 1 card. So, what's interesting about this card is it kind of completes the Amaterasu with Water Leviathan. This is crazy. But like, if you pay 1 for this card, right, and you cycle it, draw a card, and then you play the Levitratsu, you cancel auto ability and kill their forward, it's like fine. I know like that's like dream scenario. However, I think just on average, removing a water backup, like removing your extra Sarah or removing your extra I don't know, Hilda or whatever card you want to remove to get make more room for, and then just canceling or not, sorry, you don't cancel it, but just killing the forward. I think is something that Water didn't have access to before, like to choosing a forward and just killing it. Like it has a lot of fan parts. So it has a lot of Leviathans where your opponent chooses the forward and kills it. This kind of lets you choose the forward you're going to kill with a water summon. And again, it only costs 1 CP most of the time because I think that most of the time you will remove a backup. And even if you don't, it costing 3, it's like pretty good because it's going to draw you a card also. So when I say it's cost 1, I'm assuming you remove a backup and I'm assuming you have Unit on the field. The fact that it draws you a card is crazy good, right? So like, let's say, give me some. Let's think of some examples of this. Like, if your opponent casts the Yuna, right? Well, maybe that's a bad example. The reason that's a bad example is like,
Size one.
yeah, because if your opponent casts the Yuna and you respond with this card. You pay 1, and you're like, I'm gonna make you sack that Una. They're like, response, pay 2, play another. I guess they can't though. Actually, they can't, can they? Yeah, no, this is a fine answer because they can't play a Una because they already have one in play, and they can't search for one and then play one because it'll be dead. They'll have to repay for it. So yeah, this card's fine into that card. I'm trying to think of the other cards that it's really good at killing. Unfortunately, like there are a lot of cards that you want to, like it's good at killing like a Man in Black, for example. I do like that. I think that water historically
So
has.
this is good against chaos because it kills
It
Raijin
kills.
Fujin.
Well, it kills chaos too.
It kills chaos, but it kills Raijin Fujin, which is the thing that it's also going to be killing you. So because
Yes, I don't disagree with you. My problem is when you have to choose it with the auto ability on the
yeah,
stack, right? And if they happen to hit another Rajin Fujin with that auto ability, it'd be really annoying.
it would, but it's harder because it's only like a 2 mil. But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it
I
is what
s-
it is. It always sucks.
yeah. You can't be actually insane all the time. All right, actually, I guess there's 2 cards. I didn't read this one, so we're gonna read it together too. Queen, choose up to
Queen
2.
7,
Yeah, choose up to 2 job class 0 cadet backup, activate them, and choose up 2 cards in your opponent's zone, remove them. Cards. I guess right now I want to say it's not good. I want to say like we got to see what backups we get, right? Like we have Rem is like pretty good from class 0 cadets. What else is good as a class 0 cadet? Like why didn't you just say type 0 backup? Like type 0 would have been like fine. Oh, and then so here we go. And then we have 7. 7 is dual 2 active class 0 cadets. Choose 1 job class 0 cadet forward. It gains haste until turn. So these 2 cards combo with each other, right? That's kind of cute. Am I reading that right? So like, yeah, you can use Queen to untap. You can use Queen to untap your 7 in your Rem, and then you can use 7 in Rem to give Queen haste, which is nothing, I guess. It's just 7k forward. Like, I don't get it. The GC chat, I'd have to catch on. The GC chat was like pretty high on this 7 card.
So I don't know why, and I've been thinking about it, and I keep reading it. I don't know enough Type Zero cards to maybe catch the interaction, but I know that someone in particular in the chat was excited about this to the point that he said that it would solve Mono Lightning. So it might be in those colors, but I'm really not sure like why he's saying that.
Well, so if we take this will be the last card we're doing anyway, so I might as well just take a second here. It really frustrates me why I even have it. All right, if we take the job cadet, 0 cadet, and we look at, all right, so what are we looking to do? We're looking to give a cadet forward haste, and choose one forward if its cost equals the number of cadets you control, break it. So we need actually we need backups for sure. So you have Rem. Oh, Trey is good. Trey's a good backup. Trey's a really good backup. Maybe that's why they're saying it breaks it. Or not breaks it, because before having Trey and Ace was like close to being good enough. Now you also have 7, which is a cadet, a job class 0 cadet, which has a special. So you can get Trey specials back. You can get 7 specials back. Yeah, maybe that's the difference. I do like Trey with Rem plus 7 if you're in ice, if you're in wind lightning. because I like Rem. I actually really like Rem a lot. The 4 drop that when it enters choose one type 0 card and it breaks on add it to your hand, and it's an EX burst.
Mm.
Yeah, it seems pretty good. Out of all these cards, John, what do you think is like the card that you're most excited for? The ones that we talked about tonight specifically.
Yeah, let's see.
It's Yuna, right?
So so originally I was really excited about seeing Turks because I love playing Turks.
I
To tell the
know.
truth, like
I know.
the
What a
the
disappointment
ones
for you,
here
honestly.
do not excite me. I am disappointed with that. I feel like I really want to see Yuna doing some crazy shit. Like it has a lot of potential. And
Yeah.
I know Golbus is gonna be a thing. I think honestly, I think like my favorite card is Titus, but I think Yuna is gonna be doing way more in very different ways that we don't even imagine right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do think you wonder. It's going to depend on what we get. Again, I'm thinking that we get a good pain. It's been a while since we got a good pain. I know that they're careful with the name pain because pain was so good before. Um, but that was like Opus 1. um, Opus 1 starter pain.
So going over it right now, like which legends are we missing? We have both lightning ones. We have
We're missing the
one
Earth one.
ice. We have
We're-
one ice, one earth,
We have both water
one water.
because that
We have
Maya,
both
like I
water,
said,
yeah.
The Maya is good. I am disappointed that it's legend, but it is good.
I agree.
We're missing the other Earth one, which is kind of scary because I'm a little worried what Earth could get. Uh, yeah, I think for the cards that I'm most excited to be, it might just be Golbez. Like Golbez could go in any color. It could go in any deck. It could be the first deck you build. Because, like, look, I get that there's going to be the smart asses in the group that say, well, Mono Earth was really a deck because of Titus, or Mono Water was really a deck because of Titus. No. Golbez could be the first actual deck you build based off of a limit break. And that is really cool. That is a design space that I don't think we were thinking of when we discussed limit breaks and what they could do with them.
Yeah.
We talked about, sideboard answers, sideboard style cards that are like very specific to help you in very specific times. And so you had to decide, do I need help in this matchup or do I need help with this or that? But building a whole deck around a limit break is quite cool. Really excited. Yeah, I think that Golbez is
it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's very different from the idea of like this limit break fits into any deck, which is something like Little Lila used to be kind of, and then Luso. But this is like actually like you want to build around it and it's powerful as it is. So I do agree. Yeah.
Yeah, you could play mono water, right? And play the old Cognazzo plus Hippocampus and be like, you have Hippocampus, like you're controlling the board, and then they build a big board, and you're just like, play Golbez, search up Cognazzo, activate Hippocampus, and their board's dead. And by the way, you can do this during their turn. That is crazy. That is so crazy. Yeah, and then you can play Arc because I really think that like water has the tools to like cycle it out of your hand or like Leviathan into your damage zone and then go grab it later on. Like yeah, I think Golbez is the card that I'm most excited to build. I have somewhere over here. I have like seven decks built right now, and I think 3 of them have Golbez in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I am excited about it. But anyway, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our little spoiler, the little spoiler that could, the little Armstrong that could. We're going to be doing a couple more videos. We have a couple of videos already in the pipe. Definitely let us know if there's something that you are interested in hearing from us. But otherwise, look forward to that Magic kind of comparison. We might I'll let you guys know how this chaos draft goes, but we might be doing some stuff with the new legacy collection. Maybe we'll open some legacy collection on stream, because I'm pretty excited about that. That's supposed to arrive in my store tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited about that. But John, thank you, of course, for joining us. Always appreciate you being here. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Take care.